USA, 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 USA.
Musical styles are still a very important form of communication for our young people. Hi, I'm Joe Feinstein.
Now, I'm already aware of the fact that most of, if not all of you, have already seen this film, so I'm not going to bother doing any sort of story recap. Rather, I'm going to talk about some of the individual characters and look at how they deal with and change from the situation at hand. However, before I get into that, there's actually something else I want to discuss first, and that is this film's writer and director, Roland Emmerich. Emmerich and his longtime friend and co-writer, Dean Devlin, are best known for their string of disaster movies. Films like The Day After Tomorrow, Godzilla, Moonfall in 2012. And unfortunately, none of those are very good. The premises are flimsy, the characters often feel one-dimensional, people survive utterly insane things, and in general just kind of feel insincere. But that's not to say everything he's done has been a miss. There are actually some surprising hits as well. Stargate was the first in 1994 and really helped launch his career. He used that clout and creative juice to bring us Independence Day shortly after in 1996. And he assembled a wonderful ensemble cast who nailed every role they were given. Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum, Bill Pullman, Judd Hirsch, Robert Loggia, Adam Baldwin, Brent Spiner, Vivica A. Fox. I mean shit, we even get a young Mae Whitman. I love Mae Whitman. The Perks of Being a Wallflower, Parenthood, Owl House, Scott Pilgrim, she's great in everything. Okay, sorry, I got a little sidetracked with that last one there. Though this is an ensemble cast, obviously some characters are going to get more time than others. Namely, Will Smith's Stephen Miller, President Whitmore played by Bill Pullman, and Jeff Goldblum's David Levinson. Stephen started as this light-hearted, mostly carefree kind of guy, despite his long years of military service. But when events kick off and he loses his entire squad along with his best friend, the weight of what the planet is facing really starts to hit him. I mean, rather than trying to get himself to safety after he parachutes, he risks his life to run toward the crashed craft and confront its pilot. And it's because of that choice that the scientists are able to get any sort of additional insight to how the aliens work and think. And it's also because of him that Goldblum even had a shot at stopping the aliens at all, since he was able to pilot. And not to mention, had he not waved down that passing trailer caravan, those people never would have made it to the base, and they never would have been able to get shelter from the bombardment later on in the film. David is a certified genius who has been lost in a certain level of mental fog ever since his wife left him. We're told very early that it's been 3 years since the divorce, but he still wears his ring and he still cares for her deeply. It's also later mentioned that it wasn't a lack of love that separated them, it was Constance wanting to have a more impactful and meaningful career, which took her away from David, who, despite his genius and accomplishments, felt that the most meaningful and impactful thing in his life was the relationship that they shared.
Haven't you ever wanted to be part of something special?
I was part of something special.
So knowing his lasting love and devotion adds another layer of desperation and urgency to everything he does. He's not just trying to save the world, he's trying to protect the person he loves. Well, I should say people, because he's also looking out for his dad, who, by the way, keeps David anchored and level throughout the entire film, even helping sparking the idea that would help take the aliens down.
Get off of this freezing concrete floor before you catch cold. Come on.
What'd you say?
I don't want you to catch cold.
Genius.
David's dad even reveals that,
I haven't spoken to God since your mother died.
and before David leaves for space, his dad gives him some barf bags, knowing his son doesn't do well with flying, and in return, David gives his dad a kippah and a Torah as a way to ask him to pray again, which he does. It's very sweet stuff. President Whitmore is by far my favorite character of anyone we meet. Now, over the years, as I was watching the film, I always just thought to myself, well, I love the actor and I love him in this, and I didn't really think much more of it. But upon this rewatch, I actually discovered why I love him so much. And that's because they kind of make him out to be an Abraham Lincoln figure. He's a president that's currently receiving a lot of negative feedback, whose country is thrusted into a war they are not fully prepared for, who has to stay strong and lead their people despite countless losses in battle and the death of a family member. In the film, Whitmore loses his wife to internal bleeding from the helicopter crash, and in real life, Lincoln lost his son during the war due to typhoid fever in 1862. And like Lincoln gave his Gettysburg Address, Whitmore gets his own speech about unity and survival.
The 4th of July will no longer be known as an American holiday, but as the day when the world declared in one voice, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight.
Honestly, even Jasmine should get a mention. She's a stripper by profession, but it's something she's rather confident about.
So what do you do for a living?
I'm a dancer.
Ballet?
Exotic.
Sorry.
Don't be. I'm not. It's good money. Besides, my baby's worth it.
She survives the attack on the city, and rather than just trying to escape to safety with her son and dog, she stays in the city and helps look for survivors, going on to help find the First Lady and keep her alive until she's reunited with the President. I imagine that's what spurred her to go on and become a doctor in the sequel. If I'm totally honest, I remember incredibly little about the sequel, but I do remember that she was a doctor, I think. Everyone remembers the giant lasers and the cool-looking tentacle aliens, but at the end of the day, this film is more than that, and it goes to show why Hollywood keeps giving Emmerich chances to strike that gold again. Now, is that gonna happen?
That's not likely to change.
Unlikely.
But is there always hope?
There's always hope.
Lastly, I just want to give a shout out to the restraint of use of symbolism in the film, because Emmerich loves symbolism. But most everything is pretty literal and in your face with this one. There's really only one bit of symbolism, and it's at the very start of the film, and I appreciate it actually represents two things at once. When the film opens, the mothership is approaching Earth, and as it gets closer to the moon, its size and presence is so massive that it causes vibrations and the dust on the moon to start moving all around and washing away the astronauts' footprints. So that in itself being a sign that they're coming to wipe away anyone who came before. But funny enough, the plaque we see itself also serves as the symbol. Humanity first went to space in the name of peace, and now they're returning to space to restore the peace. So yeah, on the very small chance you haven't seen this, hurry up and go check it out. And for the 99% of you who've already seen it, go watch it again, and you can have a new appreciation for every scene that we get. If I did this episode without our trivia segment, I would be thoroughly un-American, and I'm nothing if not a patriot. So let's strap in for another round of 6 Degrees of Muppets, aka Independence Trivia. I don't know. Anyway, let's go. This film starred Jeff Goldblum, who was also in Jurassic Park with Sam Neill, who was in Event Horizon with Jason Isaacs, who was in The Patriot with Mel Gibson, who was in Lethal Weapon with Danny Glover, who was in 2012 with John Cusack, whose sister Joan Cusack starred in the 2002 Very Merry Muppet Christmas. See? I did it again. You know, every time I complete one of these rounds, I feel like I should win an award or something, like a blue ribbon or like a grilled cheese. But anyway, thank you again for watching. Make sure you check out my other 4th of July episode, and I will see you for the retrospective at the end of the month.
Musical styles are still a very important form of communication for our young people. Hi, I'm Joe Feinstein.